5 things I always did when I was trying to conceive from a high-risk labor postpartum nurse who now has 3 babies. A lot of these are evidence-based and some of these are just, even if there's no evidence, so just keep that in mind. Number 1, and I'm actually proud of this one. I scheduled a preconception appointment with my provider. If you have access to a provider, that is such a wise thing to do before getting pregnant, especially if you have pre-existing conditions that we want to get stabilized before pregnancy. At the time, I was 32 years old and my work schedule was so erratic. I did rotating shifts. What we did was talk about lifestyle changes, work schedule changes. And when it comes to fertility and pregnancy, there's a lot of things outside of our control and there are some things within our control. She pointed out things that were within my control to sort of increase my odds of getting pregnant and having a healthy pregnancy. I since, found out I had recurrent pregnancy loss when I was trying to conceive again. I did return and do preconception appointments, do workups to see if we could identify the causes of my miscarriages. Number 2, I start taking a prenatal vitamin. My favorite brand is Nature Made. I like to make sure it has folic acid in it, which is really helpful in preventing neural tube defects. Also an awful sleeper, so I take melatonin because I read some tiny little study somewhere that melatonin potentially could positively affect getting pregnant. That's one of those that who knows how much evidence there is, but for me, it's harmless and it helps me sleep better. And I take something else called myo-inositol. Who knows how good the evidence is, but for me personally, it's harmless. I had read some studies that it could potentially give you better egg quality. That's why I take it. Number 3, I download an app so I can have a better idea of when my fertile window is. My personal favorite is an app called Ovia. Questions about my cycle, about the fluid that I'm seeing. It gives me a countdown to when my fertile window might be. It also tells me when I should be taking a pregnancy test. Then every day it just has really interesting little tidbits about conception and fertility. Number 4, I personally like to use ovulation predictors. These are just urine dipsticks that will detect a surge of a hormone called LH, luteinizing hormone, and oftentimes we see this shortly before they ovulate, before they release that egg. I had irregular ovulation. I was not ovulating on the exact same day every month. This was helpful. I most definitely would have missed the day that I was ovulating if I didn't have this test. Number 5, who knows if it's evidence-based? I just did it because why not? It was harmless for me. But if we were going to be using some sort of a gel, I used a different gel that's called Pre-Seed. Oftentimes the gels that you use can make it a little bit more difficult for sperm to travel and reach the egg. So I got a different gel that claims to facilitate mobility of sperm. Is it real? Does it work? I don't know, but for me, why not? These are not recommendations. This is not what everybody should and must be doing. Just what I happened to do. For real evidence-based information on pregnancy, birth, postpartum, check out my page.